Why your husband may be disconnecting. Hey ladies, my name is Danny and I'm your life and relationship coach, and we are talking about your husband disconnecting. That is the subject for today. And I wanted to make this video because it is something that I get questions about all the time, right? Coach Danny, I feel like my husband is just disconnecting from me. I feel like he just isn't attracted to me anymore. I feel like he isn't really involved in the marriage anymore. He doesn't really care. And I understand. I empathize with you. It's a difficult position to be in emotionally and mentally because you start to question yourself. You start to doubt yourself. And the moment you start to question and doubt yourself, it starts to fuel your insecurities. And the more you allow your insecurities to take over, the more emotional you become. The more emotional you become, the more irrational decisions that you make. And the more irrational decisions that you make, the more you push your husband away. So I understand that there is a cycle here, and sometimes it can be hard to break. So for me, it's really about taking a step back and saying, okay, let's reevaluate the situation and let's look at some alternative options as to why your husband may be disconnected. We don't always have to go to the most obvious ones, right? He's cheating, he doesn't love me, he doesn't care about me. Those are usually the ones that people immediately go to. And I understand because it is a fear. But there are possible other reasons for why he may be disconnecting, right? And one of the first ones that I always talk about with my clients is external stressors, right? There may be other things that are going on in his life that are causing him to disconnect. It's not that he is intentionally wanting to disconnect from you. It's just maybe there's a lot going on with work, right? Maybe he has familial issues that he's working with. Maybe he had a falling out with a friend. Whatever the case may be, it may be affecting him emotionally to a point where he is closing off because he's trying to cope and deal, right? And oftentimes, what I find is husbands have a tendency of doing that because as men, we are taught by society to not be emotional, to not be vulnerable, to not express ourselves in that type of way because it puts us in a position of weakness. And we're supposed to be the alphas and the caretakers and the providers and all of those types of things. So if he is dealing with external stressors emotionally, he may be shutting off because he doesn't want to show that vulnerability. And for you, I get how that's difficult and that's upsetting because you want him to be vulnerable, but you have to allow him that space to process. And so again, the first thing is there just might be some external stressors that are going on. The second one is maybe your relationship has just fallen into a routine, right? You're kind of in this rut and you don't really know how to get out of it. And neither does your husband. So he kind of just starts to shut off. Maybe you're seeing that he's more active on his phone. Maybe he's more, focused on watching television when he gets home or being in his man cave or whatever the case may be. And a lot of that just may have to do with the fact that you guys haven't really connected in quite some time. So how can you start to actively change that? You can actually make the relationship a priority. You can start to plan things together. You can start to go out. You can set aside a day a week, maybe a couple of days a month, to have date nights, to maybe plan little mini weekend getaways, whatever the case may be, to try to break the routine in the relationship. And if this is one of the primary things you are struggling with, I highly recommend heading over to the products page and purchasing a training that I created called Breaking Routine. It is incredible, and it is something that will help you to start to understand the reasons for why you may have developed routines in your relationship and how to break them, right? In detail. I provide you with exercises. I provide you with ideas. I provide you with, things that you can start to do actively right now to change the dynamic in your relationship. And I guarantee you, I promise you, it will help you exponentially in your relationship. It will help you to break that routine. So if that is something that you are struggling with right now, I highly recommend that product. The third thing is maybe he's having a midlife crisis or a quarter life crisis. And I know that sounds so cliche, right? We talk about it, midlife crisis, quarter life crisis. But realistically, what that is really kind of reflecting where you are in your life in this moment. And are you where you wanted to be, right? Have you achieved everything you wanted to achieve? Have you succeeded in the things that you wanted to succeed in? And for men in particular, we hold in very high regard our goals, our independence, right? Being successful. Because again, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves in order to do that. And if your husband feels like he hasn't attained the things that he wanted to, if he hasn't reached his goals, if he hasn't really met his own personal expectations, he can be emotionally trying to process that. And that can be a lot to take in, right? So it may not necessarily, again, be something that you did. It's just something that he is going through, that he's trying to figure out and he's trying to work through. And what you can do is you can provide a safe environment. You can provide a support system for him. And, just let him start to work through some of these issues. Oftentimes, the mistake that people make is that we take it and we say it's our fault. And because we think it's our fault, we feel guilty. And when we feel guilty, we try to self-soothe. And in order to self-soothe and to not feel guilty, we seek validation from our partner. And when we seek validation from our partner and we don't get it because they are emotionally going through something, we feel dismissed. And when we feel dismissed, we get upset. When we get upset, we start to argue because we want the answer. So it's really just about taking a step back, relaxing, and providing a safe environment, allowing your husband to go through whatever it is that he needs to go through, and then kind of taking it from there. The fourth one is lack of intimacy, right? Maybe there has been an extended period of time that you guys have not really been romantic with each other. You guys haven't made love. You haven't had sex, any of those types of things, because that is a big factor in relationships. And I have made many videos about this, right? Sex is a very important part of a relationship. It differentiates between a platonic relationship and a romantic relationship. And if you want to stay connected to your husband, to your boyfriend, to your partner in that way, it has to be a part of the relationship. There has to be things that are involved. Now, I get it. Maybe you have your own personal stresses. Maybe there are things about the relationship that you are not happy with, and therefore you're not motivated to have sex or be intimate. Totally understand. But then at that point, my question to you is, what are the issues? Have you self-reflected? Have you asked yourself the tough questions? Have you figured out why you are dissatisfied, not happy, or not feeling fulfilled, and therefore it is resulting in you not wanting to be intimate? That's for you to figure out. But what I'm referring to is that the reason for why your husband may potentially be disconnecting is because he hasn't felt that connection with you in a long time because of the lack of intimacy or sex or the making love. The last and final one, and the reason for why I wanted to leave this to the very, very end, is because there are multiple other reasons for why your husband may be disconnecting. The last one is potentially infidelity, right? He may potentially be interested in somebody else. He may be having something going on outside of the relationship. There are signs, right, that you can start to kind of pick up on whether this is a possibility or not. And I have created videos about this before, the signs of infidelity, figuring out whether your husband is cheating on you, figuring out whether your wife is cheating on you. And, some of those things may be excessive phone use, becoming more private, not allowing you to see what he's doing on his phone, not allowing you to see what he's doing on a laptop, his changing of his schedule. Maybe he's coming home later from work. Maybe he's going out with the boys more. Like, whatever the case may be, there are multiple different reasons or multiple different signs that might be a possibility. But understand, you can't just take a look at one of those signs and say, oh yeah, he's cheating. It has to be a combination of many in order for you to really be sure of that. But the reason, again, that I wanted to leave this one to the very end is because there is a whole list of other reasons for why he may be disconnecting, and giving your husband the benefit of the doubt is the best thing that you can do in order to try to start to move past and reconnect, right? And feel like you're able to open those lines of communication again. If you guys like this video, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below. I love having open dialogue with people. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, maybe you've been through this yourself and you have your own personal experience that you would like to share, drop it down below. I read as many of the comments as possible. I also try to answer as many as possible. Maybe you just want to know a little bit more. You want to dive in a little bit deeper. You can visit us at www.happily-committed.com, where we have a multitude of different articles and blogs and videos related to this subject and many other subjects as well. Maybe you just feel like you need some more support, right? Your situation is very specific. You didn't feel like you got everything that you needed out of this video, or maybe you've read several articles and you just need more, right? You can book a one-on-one coaching session with myself or any of the other amazing coaches that we have on the team, and you can do that via the website as well. Again, my name is Danny. I'm your life and relationship coach. I hope you're staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you soon.